Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Go Local Live. I'm Go Local News Editor Kate Nagel. Thanks for joining us for the 4 o'clock show. We'd like to thank Jennifer Lawless at the University of Virginia, Skyping in from Washington, D.C. to talk news and politics. Now I'd like to welcome back a familiar face, Ed Iannuccilli with Ed Wright.
Good to be back.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
On the heels of his most recent submission to Go Local, talking about handwriting. So let's talk a little bit about that, the sort of lost art and being enthralled with the fountain pen.
Oh, yes.
And as here we are in 2019, starting to really kind of fade away. But you said, don't let it happen.
Don't let it happen. I think it's personal. I was watching a television show, an English show, and I saw someone take out a quill and then write in beautiful ink, beautiful blue, green ink, a lovely note. And I thought, that's really what we should be doing. That's what we learned to do so many years ago. So I wrote an article, take pen to paper, if you will, and write a note to your friend, to your loved one, condolences, anything. Just write it with pen and ink.
Now, you write a lot as well. Do you jot notes down? The writing process, let's talk as well. When do you transition into in front of the keyboard?
Well, I have a notebook that I carry all the time, and ideas come up either from my reading or from everyday things that I see, and I jot it down. Or sometimes I wake in the middle of the night. Not too often. I sleep well these days. But sometimes I wake and think of something and write it down. If you don't write it down, it's lost. You may never use it, but it's a resource for you. So write everything down. Take a notebook.
And a previous piece I do want to talk about, when did you know that you were going to talk about, is my mom a kleptomaniac? The headline in itself and the comments resonating with so many people. How much did this resonate? Were you surprised to get the feedback?
I was getting bings everywhere, I'll tell you. So many people had kleptomaniac mothers and grandmothers. So we were out one night with my mother, and after a lunch or breakfast, actually it was breakfast one morning, in a hotel in Boston, and when we finished, she filled her handbag with the little jars of jelly and the sugar packets, et cetera, and I thought, what's going on here? And I said, Mom, you're stealing. She said, no, that's not stealing. They want you to have this. They have a lot of money, so you can take it.
And so did you wonder, I mean, you're like, is my mom the only one? And from social media, oh goodness, clearly not.
No, from social media, everybody's mom and everybody's grandmother did this. And, I was reflecting. Someone said, why do you think this is what they did? Well, the superficial reason is because they want you to do it. The other reason is they lived through the Depression.
Yep.
And they came here and their parents were poor. And it always was, think about tomorrow. Maybe you should fill the larder, if you will, with somebody else's stuff, and we'll have it. So it's a security blanket, if you will, a position.
Now let's talk a little bit about your speaking engagements just recently at a local library. When you go and talk with folks who come out to hear from you, what's the feedback you generally get? What do people want to know from Ed?
Well, the first thing they say is, you wrote my story, because there are many people who think of the same things, who've lived in the same times, who remember the same things I do. So the message I try to give them is to write their story, even if it's just for themselves. Write the story. So what I do in the presentation is show them a lot of pictures, show them how the pictures jog my memory, show them how to write it down. And then I get a lot of responses from people saying, yes, and here's my story. And that's what I like to hear. That's the feedback that I get, and it's fun.
So speaking about stories and sort of the common Rhode Island themes and identities, you have had a unique vantage point as chair of the Rhode Island Hospital Board. Yeah. The healthcare days ever enter your mind as things that you want to bring up, or do you say, I really want to focus on the family?
I really try to keep it vanilla, if you will, non-controversial, and focus not only on family, but neighborhood and friends and those stories. I really don't see myself getting into the foray.
Too much nitty-gritty on the healthcare side.
So much research that needs to be done. There are so many people writing in that space and theorizing about what will happen.
But anything anecdotal from your days of having been on the board chair? Is it even too difficult and too political to even bring back up?
No, it's not at all. It's what you see is the need that people have for health care. And I see that every day. I read about it every day. I see who people call for their healthcare decisions, how they try to get into the system, how difficult it is to maneuver the system. And that concerns me greatly. Once you're in the system, you're okay. We have a great healthcare system. At the high-end level, we need to do something at the beginning level of maternal care and neonatal care and epidemiology and infectious diseases. We need to do a lot about that. So, yeah, I think about it all the time.
Do you get a lot of calls on it? Do people want to pick your healthcare brain?
Here are the calls that I get. Is this person a good doctor?
Okay.
Can you get me an earlier appointment? What do you think of this medication? Or, I don't feel well. So I get calls, and I love it. I really enjoy it because I think I can direct people from the years of experience I had in the healthcare field.
I was going to ask, what do you miss from the healthcare days? It doesn't sound like you're that far removed.
I miss taking care of people. I miss that ability to make a difference in someone's life and then to have them rely on you and trust you. That part I miss. I don't miss getting up in the middle of the night, but I do enjoy people calling me. I think I have resources that I can help them with, so I enjoy it, and it's fun.
Speaking of enjoying and speaking of fun, every Monday on GoLocal Prov, Ed Iannuccilli with Ed Writes submits a piece. And again, on social media, so much feedback. Has there been anything that's been surprising to you as you've been out there and sharing your writing and hearing from folks?
The most surprising thing is the number of comments that I get, and the number of hits that I get on Facebook, the number of emails that I get, the number of comments on the GoLocal piece on their site. That surprised me more than anything. I don't get many controversial things because I don't write controversial topics, but occasionally that comes along. It surprises me. I have a double take. I have to think about it a little bit, but that's a rare surprise.
Okay.
A rare surprise.
Do you think there might be some call for decorum in social media in some instances these days?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you don't want it on the front page, don't write it on social media. And you have to remember that you're pitching on social media, there's someone catching. And that someone could have other issues that you trigger, not because of what you said, but because of what you reminded them of. You need to be very careful what you say and very sensitive to the person at the other end.
Do you know what I say? I say social media is the Rorschach test of the 21st century.
Boy, I'll tell you, no kidding. It sure is. It sure is.
Well, you always have the unique vantage point, again, growing up in Rhode Island, with the healthcare world as well, and just really well-written, poignant pieces that you can read on Mondays on GoLocal Prov. And I like having you come in. Again, I say Ed's in, and everyone goes crazy on social media, wants to, again, know. So before we have Ed in next time, we're probably going to, I might have a little shout out to say if you have any questions for the doctor.
Send them on.
To send them over, and we'll talk about them on air here. But as always, appreciate your getting out from behind the screen and in studio.
Thank you.
Dr.
Write your story.
Iannuccilli. Okay,
you.
write
Thanks,
your
Kate.
story.
Thank you all.
Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back to wrap up GoLocal.